The next item that you can use to enhance your WordPress website is a plugin. Plugin is a piece of software containing a group of functions that can be added into your WordPress website. Plugins can be used to extend functionality or add new features to your site. There is a saying in the WordPress community, and it is, "There's a plugin for that." There's thousands of free plugins available for WordPress. In addition, there's tons of commercial ones available from third-party companies and developers. Some of them you may have to pay a fee for in order to use. As a site administrator, you can install and uninstall plugins from the admin area. We'll go ahead and go into the plugin section of our WordPress menu, and you can see that this is what it looks like by default. Here you can see that I actually have two plugins that have already been added into my WordPress site. Neither one of them, however, has been activated. These two plugins come in WordPress by default, and you could choose to use them or not. Hello Dolly is just kind of a silly plugin that's always come with a WordPress. It will add some random lyrics from the song Hello Dolly. If you decide you don't want to use a plugin, you can simply click delete, and it will give you the option to verify that you do want to delete it. I will do that. And now the plugin is no longer part of this WordPress theme. If a plugin has not been activated, it is installed into your theme, but it's currently not being used anywhere. You may sometimes want plugins to be inactive because you're not ready to use them, or perhaps you're waiting for something else before you can actually incorporate them. Akismet is a plugin that will help to protect your WordPress site from spam. It is a really good plugin to incorporate. You will need to sign up for an Akismet plan to get an API key in order to use it. And once you have the API key, if you were to click activate, you could go ahead and activate the account. Akismet is going to help prevent spam from people that may want to comment on your WordPress posts. If you have a WordPress site, you will be vulnerable to receiving a lot of unscrupulous and unwanted comments on your blog posts. You could, of course, just turn commenting off if you didn't want to use that feature, but if you do want to have blog posts, it would be worth it for you to install something like Akismet. I'm not going to do this since my site is just a demonstration, so I'll go ahead and just close this and deactivate the Akismet plugin since I'm not going to use it right now. If you want to install other plugins into WordPress, you'll simply click Add New. And when you click Add New, you're going to go to the plugin page. As I mentioned, there are really thousands of plugins available. Because most of these plugins are free, it's important that you realize that they usually do not come with tech support. For this reason, you need to be really careful when choosing what plugin you'll want to incorporate into your site. There are plugins for virtually almost anything. Some of them are much higher quality than others, and in order to choose the right ones, you're going to want to ask yourself some questions. A couple of the things that you're going to want to verify are how long has it been since the plugin's been updated. You're going to want to know if the plugin is compatible with the current version of WordPress. You're going to want to know if people are getting answers to their support questions, and you're going to want to check the rating. If we look at this page right here, you can see that it's giving me a list of some featured plugins. Here's Akismet, which already came installed, but you can see that this is always here as a featured plugin. And then there's some other ones here as well. Jetpack is a great plugin, and it adds a lot of functionality to your WordPress site. If you want more information about any plugin, you can click More Details. This is going to give you a variety of information about the plugin. So you can see here it's going to let me know what this plugin does. The Jetpack plugin for WordPress does a variety of things. It will help you with SEO, it's going to help you with security, with image performance, it centralizes management, among other things. You'll have tabs at the top which will give you information on installing the plugin. It'll also show you screenshots of what the plugin looks like. And then you can check change logs. So this is going to tell you when the plugin was released and when it was updated. Some plugins have an FAQ. And you can see right here that this particular plugin is free with the core features, but it also has other features which are paid. So if you want to incorporate some of the other things that work with Jetpack, you may have to pay for them. You can also go to the reviews section, and this is where you can get reviews of other users that have utilized this particular plugin. You do have the option from this window to install the plugin now. I am going to close this, and I just wanted to point out that you can also install the plugin right here on the search page. I'm going to go ahead and install this plugin, and you can see that WordPress just takes a couple of seconds. It downloads the package and unpackages it, and it actually installs it right into your version of WordPress. If you want to activate the plugin and start using it, you will have to click Activate Plugin. And depending on the plugin that you're using, in order to utilize or manage the plugin, you'll have to find out how this plugin works. So when we're talking about Jetpack, Jetpack actually automatically adds a menu item into my admin portion. And if I click on this menu item, I can go to the settings, which allow me to utilize Jetpack. And you can see that, again, it's just going to give me an overview of what this plugin does. So that it has lots of good features, and in order to start using it, I would have to connect Jetpack up. Jetpack does have a registration process that you need to go through, and in order to use it, you're going to have to create a WordPress.com account. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs of this particular plugin right here, but if you did want to get more information about this particular plugin, I'll go back to the plugin page. You can go ahead and you can click in the plugin section and click View Details, which will open this window again, and some plugins will actually have a dedicated website. So this one has a homepage for this particular plugin. The URL for this is jetpack.com, and if I come here, this will actually give me even more information about this particular plugin. If you are interested in learning more about Jetpack, I would encourage you to come to this website and read more about it. As I mentioned, the core functionality of Jetpack is free, but there are some added functionality which will require that you pay for it. However, if you are rolling out a dedicated website, this plugin is actually a really good one, and it's one that I do recommend that you use. Let's go back to the main plugin page. I'm going to click Add New, and I'm going to search for another plugin. I want to make a contact form for my page, and I'm going to use a plugin to help me make the form. There are tons of plugins that are available for forms. And once again, I'm not going to give you advice on specific plugins just because there's so many, and really plugins that you use on your website are going to depend on your needs, so they're going to be different. There isn't just a go-to plugin, this is going to work for every single site. There may be plugins that you tend to use more commonly on most of your WordPress sites, but because there are so many plugins and because they perform unique tasks, it really depends on what your needs are as to what plugin that you would be using. As I mentioned, make sure that you do your research. Read through the detailed information that has to do with the plugin, read the reviews, check and see what the dates are as to when the plugin was last updated, and if it works with the current version of WordPress. These are important things for you to know before you actually start using plugins. I will mention though that I have my fair share of installing many plugins, and then once I've installed them and used them for a little while, decided that they weren't right for this particular project, and I've had to uninstall them and then find another plugin that will help me to solve that particular task that I'm looking for. So as you can see, there's 2,272 contact forms. A couple contact forms that I like are contact form 7. This is a good one. It's kind of simple, but it works really well. Another one is Ninja Forms. And again, this allows you to just create forms and manage them quite easily. For this particular site, I'm going to go back to contact form 7. I'm going to click on more details so that I can find out a little bit more about this. And you can see it gives you a rundown of how this form actually works. The other things that are worth noting is that it has fairly high reviews and a large number of reviews. If you have a 5-star rating but only 2 people have actually rated the plugin, that might not be such a great endorsement. You can see that the plugin was last updated 2 months ago, so that is pretty recent, and it's working on a fairly current version of WordPress and is compatible up to the version that we're using. I'm going to go ahead and click Install Now, and I'm going to activate the plugin. Now, when I've installed Contact Form 7, it has made a contact menu item. I'm going to click on Contact Forms, and you can see that it's going to kind of give me some information about this form. I'm going to click on the form that exists, and it's going to take me to a page where I can actually set up this contact form. We'll leave the name at Contact Form 1. I'm going to build the form that I want. This particular plugin allows you to build a form with a combination of HTML and some WYSIWYG items. So by default, this form is going to have a field that asks for your name, that's required, your email, that's required, the subject, your message, and a button for submit. I'm going to remove the subject. I'm going to add that I want to ask for a telephone number. So this field is not going to be required. I can either leave the name that it wants to give me or fill something in. If you wanted to add an ID or class attribute here because you are using CSS to style this, you could do that, and that could be really helpful in some situations. I'll leave these blank for now. I'm going to insert this tag, and you can see that it made some text that appeared in square brackets. This is actually the code that Contact Form 7 uses to create a telephone field. In addition to that, I'm going to create some text that tells the user what I want them to do right here. So I'll say your telephone number, and this is not going to be required, so I'll get rid of required. I'm going to go ahead and add a closing P tag here so that I can keep my formatting. I'll go to the Mail tab right here, and I need to enter my email address where I want the form sent to. I can go ahead and add a default subject. You can see that it is going to pick up your subject if that was a field that we left in. We did not. It's going to put the from field to be from the person who enters their email and is filling out my form. And this is what the returned email is going to look like when I receive it. I'm going to check Use HTML content just so that I can pick up that sort of information. In messages, I can make a message that will appear once the person has filled out the form. So I'm just going to leave the default settings that are here, but obviously you could customize this if you wanted to. Additional settings will help you to add additional sorts of snippets of code, and you can get more information on that. I'll go ahead and click Save. And in order to incorporate this form, I'm going to have to copy this little bit of code. It's called a short code, and I'm going to have to paste it into my poster page or text widget content. So I'll copy this information to my clipboard. I'm going to go into the Pages section of WordPress, and I'm going to add a new page. I'm going to call this page Contact Us, and we'll write. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste in this code that I had copied to my clipboard. I'll go ahead and I'll publish this page, and if we look at this page, you can see that this is what the page looks like. So here is the form information. I would need to fill out the required fields. If I click Send right now, it lets me know that fields have errors, and you can see that I have some required fields. I'm going to send the form, and you can see that it shows up with a really nice Ajax message that says, "Thank you, your form has been sent." I'm going to go back to the admin section of my website, and in order to add this page into my site, I'm going to go to Appearance, Menus, and I'm going to augment the menu structure that we already made. I'll add my Contact Us page to the menu. It is going to appear at the end of the list. I'll click Save Menu, and now you can see if I go back to the front end of my website, I have the ability to go to my Contact Us page, and very quickly and easily I was able to incorporate a form into my site. So you can see the power of plugins and how easy they are to work. Probably one of the things that's going to take you the longest when you're using plugins is just trying to decide which plugins you want to use, because as I mentioned, there really is a plugin solution for almost anything. If you do want to incorporate something into your WordPress website, I would encourage you to do a search and try to find a plugin that's already solving that issue. Most of the time, someone has already spent the time to come up with a solution and probably built something. It is common that you would install plugins though, try them, and then figure out that they don't work in the way that you want to. If you wanted to get rid of them, you simply would deactivate them or delete them, depending on what it is that you want to do.